Caffeine is something that so many people have added into their day-to-day lives. But how does this stimulant really work? Does it give us energy the same way food does? On a normal day without caffeine, as time passes, a compound called adenosine is produced as a byproduct of the normal firing of neurons in our brains, as we do anything throughout the day that requires our nervous system. All over our brain we have adenosine receptors. The adenosine is created and attaches to these receptors, which slows down our brain activity and sends us signals that we are tired and need to go to sleep. Caffeine is the third party that gets in the middle of this process. It is an inhibitor that impersonates adenosine. Caffeine is a competitive inhibitor, which is a certain type of inhibitor that fits the shape of the active site of a receptor. Caffeine attaches to our adenosine receptors before the adenosine substrate can. When caffeine attaches in the place of adenosine, the signal to slow down the brain and get sleepy is not sent, since caffeine is only an impersonator and cannot actually create the same signals. Because of this, the brain will continue working at a normal pace since it has not been signaled to slow down. This is why so many people are able to stay awake and functioning after a cup of coffee. While the short-term function of caffeine to keep you awake may seem beneficial, it has its drawbacks, especially in the long run. While caffeine seems to help for a little while, many people get used to having caffeine help them through their day and become addicted. A reliance on the effects of caffeine are very similar to drugs despite the friendly reputation of coffee and tea. Certain drugs can also have different effects on people depending on tolerance buildup after being on the drug for a while or simply based on the person's genetics. Caffeine works the same way. The tolerance for caffeine builds up when more adenosine receptors are produced as a result of the intervention of caffeine. Thus, it would take more caffeine inhibitors to replace the adenosine. Some people also merely have more adenosine receptors in general due to their genes. The difference in amount of adenosine receptors in the brain of different people is why it may take more coffee or tea for you to stay awake for a certain amount of time as for your friend. So, when you wake up in the morning and shuffle to the kitchen to make your morning coffee, or reach for your caffeinated tea at midnight as you squint at your computer screen to finish up your awfully procrastinated history project, remind yourself what you are feeding your brain, and ask yourself if taking a sip is worth the intervention.